Europe's soccer reputation, prestige, and pedigree are all currently taking a huge hit. Today we're talking about the FIFA Club World Cup 2025 and why this tournament just lit Europe's soccer empire on fire. With how this tournament is trending, should the UEFA region still be considered the best in the world? What's up and what's down, Krunchtimers? It's your boy KTS, back with another Crunch or Cringe deep dive. And as usual, if you love this video, guess what, handsome? I love you too. If you thought my take was crunch after finishing this video, like the video and comment below. If you are disgusted and dislike this video, and if you're new to the channel but still unsure, here's one bit of advice. Don't be cringy. Be crunchy and subscribe. You gotta set the stage. This special once every 4-year competition, FIFA essentially just expanded the annual 8-team competition to 32 teams. And they're all continental champions from every confederation and the top ranked teams for every region. UEFA claimed 12 of those slots, 37.5% of the entire competition field. Yeah, that's a lot. With each team having an average squad market value of around 680 million euros. But guess who's laughing all the way to the bank? The underdogs, averaging just 125 million euros per roster. Money does talk, but the results have screamed and made enough noise to put the European region on notice. Let's go over these upsets. So far in this FIFA Club World Cup tournament, 4 European giants have fallen to non-European teams, and man, they fell so hard that many excuses from these players started to come forth to try and save face. These upsets were both astonishing and brutal, and they had your local self-proclaimed soccer gurus scratching their heads. It was enough to question the prestige and if spending unlimited amounts of money can really buy you a ticket to the final of a major tournament. But here's what we're going to do. We're going to look at these upsets, with hard cold data first, before we delve into the optics of all the games. So the number one upset was obviously PSG versus Botafogo. And Dembele was not playing in this game. However, the team did allow 10 clear chances, to which Botafogo then converted 12% of those shots. This is not necessarily a good loss, especially if you're trying to maintain the image of being unbeatable. Not to say they are not, okay? Not to say they are not, because they are a very well-oiled playing team. See what I did there? But in the end, a full-strength team lost to Botafogo, who played with pride and soul. But Botafogo, man, you just impressed so much. It was insane. I was watching a game and the whole crowd went crazy. They went nuts. It was probably the start of the tournament and people were like, oh my gosh, something is happening. And then you got the second upset, which is Chelsea versus Flamengo. And this resulted in a Chelsea loss. The score was 1-3. Flamengo scoring those 3 goals. And this game was essentially not listed in my bingo card. I had LAFC, which is an MLS giant. What? Leave me the fuck alone. Coming out of the group stage, Chelsea's defensive line was breached 18 times. Flamengo's counter-attack goal came just 11 seconds after a turnover. Flamengo done messed around with the group table, so they actually had me upset of this upset and my team's chances. It pretty much hurt LAFC from advancing to the next round because they lost to them, and it was just a whole math equation, but whatever. This was definitely an upset. And then we have the third upset, which is FC Porto. They were actually grouped. They conceded 5 goals, scored 2, and allowed about 1.7 expected goals per match versus only the 0.4 created. Yeah, they were just horrible. And I'm sure the Portuguese league right now is down in the dumps. Their stock definitely went down after the performances of both Benfica and Porto. I mean, it was nuts. Like, we did not expect for that stock to drop as low as it did, because they lost to essentially teams that they weren't supposed to lose. FC Porto displayed very poor performances. They tied with Palmeiras, and then with the deadly final blow of just losing to Messi's Inter Miami, this team was essentially just grouped off. They didn't even make it far, which is sad. Then you have the next upset, which is Atletico Madrid. They actually got Group 2. I know. Oh my Lord Jesus Christ. How did this happen, you may ask? Overall, throughout all 3 games of all the teams they played, their possession dropped to an overall 42%. And passing accuracy was around 78%, which is lower than their Champions League average. Their Champions League average was 86%. So in La Liga, they were able to qualify being in the FIFA Club World Cup by being the 2nd best ranked, as Barcelona was still going through a period of rebuilding. They were just the best ranked team over the past 4 years. In the end, the team had dismal performances, losing embarrassingly to PSG, which is nothing new. PSG has been terrorizing all the European teams and somehow not terrorizing the non-European teams. Crazy, right? It was so embarrassing that players were basically blaming the heat and that the cleats were hurting their toenails. Roger that, huh? Yeah, embarrassing. And the 5th upset was Inter Milan versus Fluminense. Ooh, this was a good upset. Nobody expected this because Inter Milan was literally the sub-champion of Europe. Champions League. They came in 2nd place and they were eliminated. Inter lost 12 duels in the midfield to Fluminense's 23. The great but aging Brazilian press forced 5 turnovers in the final half. It was probably an upset you did not see coming, but it would make sense based on the numbers if it did happen. The group stage was not convincing for the UEFA sub-champions. Unfortunately, they just had a horrible tournament. I don't know if they were just tired. We're not gonna blame that excuse, but they were just over it. They did play horrible. They tied with Monterrey, and it hurt their chances and ego, if you ask me, because this caused Lautaro Martinez to go on a major rant. It was a crazy rant. They were basically questioning. He was basically questioning the players' integrity and passion. And then you have Man City. Oh my goodness. Man City versus Al Hilal. Probably one of the most craziest, biggest upsets in the tournament so far. This was absolutely insane. This was one of those games that probably the most intriguing, melt your eyes into the TV type of game. City's expected goals were 2.8, but Al Hilal's was 1.2. The Saudi side scored on 75% of their expected goals thanks to the very lethal set play routines. Al Hilal is obviously a team where cash is never ending. We know this. They're from the Saudi league. There's oil money, but they're also no chumps either. They went head to head with Real Madrid, my team, and tied with them. And basically, Haaland got embarrassed. And this was not essentially a very strong Man City team. They've been going through the ups and downs throughout the season, but this game ultimately just shocked the entire world. It was mind-blowing. And the start of literally everything, the questioning, the European mirage of expected excellence just pretty much started to crack. We just went over these upsets, so I know you're asking with me, how the hell did these teams manage to make these upsets, and why were there this many? The fact that these upsets were happening are no coincidence either. There has to be something concrete for us to know what exactly is going on. And they are happening because there are teams and leagues that are making drastic changes to their own leagues. And let's go over them because we have to really talk about them. What are the first of many strategies they are using? Well, the first one is strategic investment. The Saudi League is the only league buying everything. They're not just buying superstar names. They are also spending 200 million euros on infrastructure, analytics, youth integration, and basically sports science. Al Hilal's, here's an interesting fact. Al Hilal's injury rate against Man City was currently 30% lower than Manchester City's all season. They were literally 30% lower of injury risk. That's insane. Money definitely talks, and money is power, and they have tons and tons and tons of it. If they are smart with their money, I can see it maybe benefiting their league, but if they're not smart and they're just spending to spend, their league's gonna crash. The second is the relentless grind. So if you notice, the Brazilians, they're known for playing in hot, humid conditions. They actually pack their schedule and they play a lot of games. Teams like Fluminense, Botafogo, Palmeiras, they each play around 65 to 70 games. Yeah, something around like that a year, and they use Copa Libertadores knockout drama, the state leagues, league cups, They even surpass Europeans per season scheduling game average. They play a lot more games in Europe, and I remember the Chelsea coach, there was a video of basically him ranting about, oh, how Europe has played so many games. Yeah, buddy, you got checked, because the Brazilian reporter said, nope, actually Fluminense has played around 70 games, and it shut that coach right up. Chelsea, I'm sorry. I know you're in the final, but yeah, let's not use that excuse, because they were ready to lose. They were kind of shitting bricks, and that was a dumb excuse, but whatever. That's basically been the consistency throughout the tournament. And also, get this, the average recovery window is 48 hours versus Europe's 72. I mean, you just can't beat it. I mean, resilience is something you can't really fabricate. You have to build it. This builds resilience, absolutely 100%. And also, not to forget, one little fun fact is that South America produced one of the most talented players in the world. Let's not go over that fact either. And then there's the third strategy, which is the retirement league strategy. And basically the Liga MX and MLS leagues are unique in their own way, but they're known for contracting players close to the end of their prime or completely out of their primes. The growth, however, is noticeable. MLS is currently tied up with strict salary caps, which some argue hurts the league more than it helps, but it seems the owners have a different vision. They're trying to play it the long way, and they want to grow alongside with fan audience interest. It's saying if fans grow, so does the league. So the more fans are interested in the league, the better the league, and the bigger it grows, and the salary caps start to rise up, because they don't want to lose money essentially, and they don't want the league to one day just be like spending so much money and very little fan interest that they basically have to go bankrupt. And that is smart. I know some people are impatient, and some are calling for the salary caps to be raised up, and rightfully so if they want to continue to compete and be at the high competition level in the next FIFA Club World Cup in 2029. But let's calm it down a little bit, guys. It's working. So far, it's working. Tactics also include having these experienced aging superstars teach, becoming part owners of the teams. So basically tying it up, there's a special interest now to the team. And then they also help to build academies to basically give MLS teams an idea of what to look for with their youth integration. Liga MX moves kind of similar, but the only difference is they don't have any salary caps. So if your team is rich and powerful, you can continue to spend as much as you want within the business regulations they're allowed to spend. And their academies are also highly priced. And the bad news is, if you can't afford it, the chances of you being able to make it pro are very drastically slim. They're very low. In the end, with all these strategies from different leagues I discussed, the main point is this: you blend targeted spending, brutal match volume, and contracting experienced aging superstars to take their knowledge or tactics. It's actually kind of possible to manufacture a good competitive team. And this is one of the reasons why I think the landscape of soccer may change globally forever. But it's all thanks to this new tournament. And we'll go over that shortly. But right now, I do want to go over the excuses, because there's a lot of them. For some, the tournament hasn't convinced. That's the truth. At first, this tournament was dubbed the glorified friendlies tournament and a useless waste of resources and energy. Wow. Some thought the UEFA teams may not take it seriously. And why did they think that? Well, again, it's the illusion of European greatness, the perception that European teams are basically unmatched and against the many different leagues in the world. A splash of narcissism, if you may. Entitledness is reeking on that side of the world. It's creating an enclosed European bubble. But I will say, Europe knows exactly how to market and create this illusion. So as of now, many Euro fans do not like this FIFA Club World Cup idea and have expressed their disgust. The self-proclaimed snobby soccer gurus who have lived in this enclosed European bubble made their voices loud and clear, and a barrage of excuses and negativity on why their elite teams, their European teams, were losing. And let's go over these excuses, because I heard it, like I said, I heard it all. They were saying this is a preseason tournament because the regular season had already ended and that the UEFA champion had already been crowned. There would be basically little interest in taking the tournament seriously. This obviously did not happen because every single team took it seriously and they all played their main starters. This was debunked fairly easily. Let's move on. Empty stadiums. When the tournament first started, many of the teams playing had small to medium-sized groups of fans show up for them. You know, it takes a toll. It costs money, and for you to travel to another country, hundreds of hundreds of miles, you know, you have to be a really dedicated fan. But they did show up. Some did show up. Record-breaking attendances occurred. Really, they did. And it was more so with giant famous teams, but people showed up. Attendance exceeded the expectations, and small teams had their fan bases showing up and making a spectacle. No matter how small the group was, fans were there cheering their team on. It didn't matter if they were just taking a small group section of the stadium, they were there and they were loud, and it was just an amazing thing to see. The next one is heat. Oh my god, it's so hot and it's endangering the players. Oh my gosh. Dortmund, their bench players were so soft. They said it's too hot for them to stand outside. They need to watch the game inside in the locker room. Wow. Coming from a supposedly European teams that are so hard and, you know, they're tough. Yeah, you guys are not tough at all. Botafogo, Fluminense, PSG thrived in the 95 Fahrenheit degree weather in Pasadena, California. Man City, Real Madrid, Chelsea also withstood around 80 degrees to 90 degrees Fahrenheit in the east, down south in Florida. MLS teams play in these conditions regularly. I want to make this very clear. Brazilian Liga MX, all the teams on this side of the world play in the heat. The only teams complaining about the heat were the losing UEFA teams, and this was basically their solid excuse for their embarrassment. Heat is everywhere, even in Qatar. Doesn't matter. Move on. Then I heard one of the most put out there excuse, and I've heard this a lot: pitch quality. This is an old one. We've always heard this as an excuse. It happened in Copa America. If there's a tournament in America, everybody complains about the pitch, and the pitch quality has been an issue before, but America has improved. FIFA has made sure that the pitch qualities in these stadiums are to perfect conditions. So I heard a player say after losing the match that the ball bounced differently, and I think that was in the Atletico PSG game. One of the players there said, yeah, the pitch quality wasn't so great and the ball bounced differently. That's why we lost. For some reason, the other team didn't seem to care how the ball bounced, and they were able to bounce the ball to the goal line. Wow, I don't think it was a pitch quality issue. Maybe it was a team performance issue. And the last excuse, the biggest one of them all, cash grabbing tournament. Ugh, this sounded profoundly in Europe. This was like the biggest headline out there, and this was by far the biggest excuse heard, and it was the loudest. FIFA is greedy. But was it really a cash grab? Let's be real. I don't think it was. You know why? Because FIFA was playing ridiculous amounts of money to teams as they won and progressed throughout the tournament. A pool of $1 billion was spread out and paid to the teams. Because it's so new and people were not all convinced, FIFA knew that they were bound to lose money. So they did what they had to do. They had to drop prices in these stadiums for people to attend and show interest. But Gianni, from what I've seen, is a man of innovation. I mean, we can clearly see he likes to innovate. He introduced VAR, you know, he introduced these FIFA regulations. I don't think he cares that FIFA is basically may lose money, because one thing is for certain, the tournament has exceeded expectations for it being a first time tournament, for it being the first time ever. And fans, as much as they don't want to, they are tuning in. He's basically thinking long term and the potential this tournament could become, and maybe even be the second biggest tournament in the world. They lost money. FIFA for sure lost money, and I don't think Gianni cares. There are more excuses, but these were simply the main ones floating around. So far, people not European are enjoying and watching the tournament, and it looks like it is here to stay. It is not going anywhere. As much as European snobs want it to go away, it's definitely not going away. It's here to stay. There are, however, top executives and coaches who have taken a hard stand against the tournament creation. For example, La Liga president Javier Tebas has put out statements criticizing it, and he came at the FIFA Club World Cup tournament hard. He gave no Fs. He came in and said, I will do everything in my power to make sure Club World Cup never takes place again. Well, it seems like the king of Euro snobbies has spoken. What's he afraid of, An embarrassing loss? Because Real Madrid, the top team in La Liga, and also my team, let's not forget, I'm a fan, got outclassed, got smacked by a Farmers League team. PSG, I'm saying it as a Real Madrid fan, they did get outclassed, they did get smacked, and what? It's the reality of things. So what? That's football. Maybe next one will be more prepared, but that goal is going to be that, to win a FIFA Club World Cup and have the title of being the best in the world. And here's my message to that guy. Stop crying. Your reasons are just getting exposed by results. I want Real Madrid to be the undisputed best team in the world. No doubts. And for that to happen, you actually have to beat the best. And that includes beating various teams from different parts of the world. Real Madrid, please, in your lifetime, win it before Barca. Currently, we're now now in the final, with Chelsea and PSG facing each other, the last two UEFA teams, and attempting to claim the best team in the world. But with two UEFA giant teams like Man City and Inter Milan sporting players like Erling Haaland and Lautaro Martinez, is this enough to cement the prestige and illusion of being elite? Yes, two UEFA teams survived and they're in the final, but let's not forget the generational run by Fluminense. The tournament had many surprises. Europe's hierarchy is on trial, and quite frankly, officially on fraud watch. And let me tell you, Gianni Infantino has created one of the best global tournaments he has ever recently organized. Let's give credit where credit is due. Is it bigger than the World Cup? Nope. But does it have the potential of being maybe bigger than the UEFA Champions League? Absolutely. Gianni, I just want to say, FIFA's not paying me, by the way. This is all from me. Gianni, you're a straight up dog, and I would personally like to kiss your feet for creating one of the most entertaining tournament on a global scale. A man's dream once upon a time, now a reality. If you asked me if I ever dreamt of both my teams, LAFC facing Real Madrid in a major global tournament, I would be lying if I told you I never did, because I have. Everyone has. Everyone would like to see how their small value teams face the scary giants of UEFA. And this tournament has proven one thing: they are really not all that scary. They are beatable. If the team imposes the real game of soccer, trains hard, and develops the youth the right way, there are loads of potential and doorways open. So here's my crunch or cringe take. The hard truth: the UEFA Champions title reign, dubbed as the best in the world, may come to a close and will one day in the foreseeable future no longer carry automatically the title of being the world's best. Data, upsets, and global investments have caused cracks in that illusion, but we need to give praise to Europe's marketing strategy. Let's not forget that. They have the money and they have the power to change narratives. But teams will now perhaps be resistant and think twice and not sell their homegrown players to the lure of millions of dollars Europe is ready to offer. Perhaps the priority will be the FIFA Club World Cup for many teams, a chance to market and prove themselves at a global stage. Perhaps this will be a new way for teams and leagues to survive and make an impact. You know, Europe steals a lot of talent from South America. That's not a secret. Not having to rely on the European money and selling their best players to give their small clubs a chance to end their financial struggles, this tournament can make huge changes globally. Yes, this FIFA Club World Cup has the chance to change all that and provide legacy, marketing, and a global impact to all leagues around the world, and potentially soon change the soccer landscape forever. So Europe, this isn't your game anymore. It's everyone's game. This is my crunch or cringe take. We reached the end of it, but now it's your time. It's your move. Drop what you thought was the most brutal upset in the comments. Smash that like button like you're ripping Europe's crown off. And subscribe to Krunchtime Sports TV, where we make our own controversial crunch or cringe takes. And with that, Kevin G is out.